It was Monday morning. The alarm rang at 7, but she didn't move. She just lay there, staring at the ceiling. The room was silent except for the ticking clock. Her mind felt blank. She had lost her job 2 months ago. At first, she told herself it was temporary. But the days kept passing. Her savings were shrinking. Her confidence was gone. She looked around her apartment. Clothes were on the floor. Plates with dry food were in the sink. Dust covered the shelves. The air smelled old. She said to herself, "I should clean." But she didn't move. She sat on the edge of her bed for a long time, holding her phone. There were messages she didn't answer. She felt tired of people asking, "Are you okay?" At noon, she finally stood up. She opened the window. Cold air came in. It felt sharp, but also clean. She thought, maybe I need to start small. She picked up her cup from the desk. She washed it. Then she washed 2 more dishes. The warm water on her hands felt good. It was the first useful thing she had done in weeks. After that, she took the trash out. The bags were heavy. When she dropped them into the bin outside, she felt lighter. When she came back inside, she looked around. The room was still messy, but something had changed. There was a small space on her desk. Empty, ready. She sat there, and wrote 1 line in her notebook. Start from here. The next morning, she woke earlier. No alarm this time. She made coffee, opened the window again, and decided to clean one corner of the room. She started with her clothes. She picked up every shirt, one by one. Some were clean. Some weren't. She folded the clean ones and put them into the closet. She put the dirty ones in a basket. Then she started the washing machine. As the machine turned, she heard the sound of water spinning. It felt like something was working again, both inside and outside. She sat down and watched the clothes move through the glass door. She thought, my life stopped moving too. Maybe I can start it again. The next few days followed the same pattern. Morning coffee. Open window. Choose one area to clean. Do it slowly, step by step. She cleaned the table, the shelves, the bathroom. She found old receipts, broken pens, expired cosmetics. She threw away things that had no meaning anymore. With every bag she filled, her chest felt lighter. While cleaning, she started thinking clearly again. She realized how long she had lived surrounded by things she didn't need. Old clothes, old plans, old fears. She understood that her room wasn't the only thing that needed change, her habits did too. At night, she wrote again in her notebook. Cleaning helps me think. Thinking helps me live. By the end of the first week, the apartment looked different. The floor was visible again. The air smelled like soap. She opened the curtains every morning to let in the sun. She even bought a small cactus for the window. Her mood started to change. She laughed a little when she dropped something. She started cooking simple meals again. She called her friend and said, "I'm okay now. Not perfect, but better." Her friend said,
"I'm proud of you."
It was a short call, but it made her feel warm. That night, she looked around her room again. It was still small, but now it looked like a place she wanted to live in. On Saturday, she decided to clean the kitchen deeply. She took everything out of the fridge. Half of the food was expired. She threw it away and wiped every shelf. Then she washed all the dishes, one by one. It took hours, but she didn't stop. When she finished, she looked around and smiled. The counter was clean. The floor was dry. It looked new. She cooked rice and vegetables. She ate slowly and felt proud. She said softly, "I did this." It wasn't about the kitchen. It was about effort, action, control. She had lost those things before. Now she was taking them back. Sunday came quietly. She cleaned the bathroom next. It was the hardest part. She wore gloves and used strong cleaner. Her back hurt, but she didn't quit. When she finished, she took a shower in the same bathroom. The mirror was clear. The floor was white again. She looked at her reflection. For the first time in a long time, she didn't look lost. She whispered, "You're doing fine." That night, she slept early and deeply. Her dreams were simple: walking outside, smiling at strangers. She woke up rested. The next week, she focused on the living room. She wiped the furniture, washed the curtains, and vacuumed every corner. She found an old notebook from her college days. Inside, there was a list: things I want to do before I'm 30. Most of them were unfinished. She looked at it for a long time. Then she smiled and said, "It's not too late." She didn't throw the notebook away. She kept it on her desk. That afternoon, she went to a small cafe nearby. She hadn't gone out for pleasure in months. She ordered a latte and watched people walking by. Everyone looked busy, but she didn't feel jealous. She just watched quietly, thinking, "I'm coming back too." Her daily routine grew stronger. Wake up. Make the bed. Open the window. Clean something small. Write one line in her notebook. Each day had a purpose now. The apartment stayed clean. The air stayed fresh. Her thoughts were clearer. She noticed how her mind connected with her surroundings. When the room was messy, she felt anxious. When it was clean, she could breathe easily. She realized she was learning discipline again, without pressure, without fear. Her friend visited one evening. When she opened the door, her friend looked surprised.
"Wow, it's bright in here,"
she said. She laughed. "Yes. I guess I've changed a little." They sat together, talking about small things, nothing deep, but peaceful. Weeks passed. She started applying for jobs again. At first, she was nervous. But she wrote her resume carefully, at her clean desk. She sent it with confidence this time. 2 weeks later, she got a call. An interview. When she hung up, she cried, not from fear, but from relief. She realized how far she had come. The next morning, she ironed her shirt, prepared her bag, and looked around her apartment one more time. Everything was in place. It gave her strength. She said to herself, "I'm ready." At the interview, she spoke calmly. She didn't pretend to be perfect. She talked honestly about her break, about how she had learned to rebuild her routine. The interviewer listened carefully. At the end, he smiled and said, "We all start again sometimes." A week later, she got the job. It wasn't her dream position, but it was a new beginning. She felt proud, not just because she was working again, but because she had done it herself, step by step. That weekend, she cleaned again, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. The sound of sweeping, the smell of fresh laundry, it made her calm. Her space was her proof of progress. She wrote one more line in her notebook. "When I clean my home, I also clean my thoughts." That night, she turned off the light, looked around the quiet room, and whispered. This is where it all began. She smiled, pulled the blanket over her shoulders, and closed her eyes. Her world was still small, but it was hers again. And that was enough. She finally understood something simple. Peace meant being thankful for what remained.